Hello, so I'm going to do a educational video based on a follow-up meeting with Miss J from our rural simulation assignment. And I'm doing a PowerPoint to go along with the points I would have made in a meeting with her. So the objectives of the meeting are to review progress of goals that we set in the previous one, discuss potential barriers, which we went into depth on in the first one, and basically to bring it up again is to possibly talk about any that we missed or any that are still a challenge even with the compromises and attempts to fix them were made. And then examples of helpful materials and recipes. I'm going to put them in here because based on what I think the meeting would be like, I would assume she'd want to know like if I knew any recipes, since in the simulation they did mention that she was really enthusiastic about meal prepping and wanted to know more about nutrition. And then we're going to end the meeting on a summary of her feelings, her motivation, any last minute questions or worries that she has, just so we can try to leave it in a more confident manner. So I made some goals that I probably would have come up with for her to review. The first one was meal prep on one day for 4 meals a day for 4 days in a row. And I started out with not a full week so that she can get used to having to cook that much food in one day. And that way she can focus on reducing her waste too, because I found personally that if you meal prep for a full week, it can be hard to make sure you eat all of that food, and there can be leftovers that you don't anticipate, and that could end up getting wasted. And then her second goal would be to include a serving of a vegetable or fruit with every meal. I like to start out like eating healthier with very simple goals. I think if you get too into the details and the micronutrients and all of that, it can be overwhelming for a lot of people. Okay, so I wrote down some barriers that I would assume she'd have from the last session. It seemed like she really wanted to save money for future things and also to have an emergency fund. And since she gets about $200 a week left over from her monthly income, I thought a weekly budget of around $115 would be a good idea. This includes her SNAP benefits if you divide them by 4. So it's about $90 a week, and then you add, around $10 to $30 to $40 from her $200. That way she can still save money, still afford her other things, and get to buy just enough food for her and her family. Another barrier was the vehicle that she's been using was having mechanical issues, and she wants to be able to save for possibly needing a new one. She's been using it a while. She does have a family member that's a mechanic, but it's not reliable, and that's just another stressor that she has on her plate. So, yeah, we're considering not trying to limit her spending on her $200 extra a week. That way, that can go towards saving for a safer vehicle. And then another barrier was that she's very busy. She's a single mom with 3 kids, and they have school activities, doctor's appointments, and then she also works full time, which probably leaves her to about only 2 days off a week, which can make it hard to, cook every day, which is why meal prepping would be a great solution for her. Okay, for the next slide, I gave an example of what $115 of groceries could look like. I've personally had to budget with groceries and do even less than this, so I find it pretty easy to make a grocery list that's well-rounded, got a lot of filling food for cheaper. And it obviously doesn't have to be this exact one, but I wanted to show her how to do this and then walk her through how I do it. And usually how I would do it personally for myself is look at an old receipt and pick out the foods that I see are cheaper and kind of make a mock list, or go into a grocery store and spend time looking at the prices and my overall cart. So I try to like look at my cart frequently. That way I can see how I'm doing on like balancing it as far as getting fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and protein goes. Yep. And I also tried to make sure that there was a lot of protein. That's why I did canned tuna for like tuna salad sandwiches, since she has 3 growing kids, and that will provide them with the energy they need and help them feel more full, which I think will help. For this slide, I thought it would be helpful for her to see this visual of the My Plate. That way she can see when she's meal prepping, okay, do I have enough vegetables? Do I have enough whole grain? Should I be including dairy in this one? And I also put other educational materials that My Plate, the website, offers. I put down some of the ones that I saw that she might find useful, which was the Guide to School Lunches. Since she has kids, it would be really helpful to, find fast, easy, and healthy ways to give them lunches and not have to worry about that. A My Plate tip sheet, which just has basic information on meal planning, making family meals, and there were so many that I think she would have really liked. And since she was enthusiastic about learning, I figured putting on My Plate and their website would be a good resource for her. Okay, so after that, I thought I would include some dinner recipe ideas. I know it can feel like the only option you have is like chicken and rice and broccoli, and that's like all you can cook with that. So I used the ingredients that I put on the grocery list to make some dinner options. And since she's, able to make her own grocery list, she can also look at other recipes. But I just wanted to show her that it can be pretty easy to mix things up with fewer ingredients. So this first one is a chicken burrito bowl. That one's really easy to prep ahead of time. You just cook everything that needs to be cooked, put it in containers. You can put it all in one like this or in larger ones, and then serve it out, to plates at dinner time. And then this next one I did was a chicken and rice recipe. This one is simpler and it uses the carrots, and you can also add, another vegetable as a side. And then there's this one, the one skillet and chicken and broccoli dinner. This is also similar. And I also I assumed that she would have some basic ingredients like some kind of vegetable oil, and maybe some soy sauce or some other kind of like salty sauce. Obviously, I can't really like say that I know that for a fact or like, choose one way or the other. So I just thought I would go off that because most people's kitchens aren't completely empty. Okay. And then the last slide would be focusing on questions and concerns. I thought this was also a very cool idea to have a PowerPoint up while in a meeting or like a counseling session. I really like visuals while people are talking to me. It helps me stay focused. And if we were to sit down in a meeting together and start talking about this, I think it would be really beneficial to have slides up like my chicken and rice recipe so she can look at it. And even though I don't include the directions, I could read, I could say them to her. That way she can write them down, or I could print out recipes and hand them to her since she doesn't always have internet access. I just think it helps you learn better. So yeah, the questions and concerns slide would just kind of summarize things and help keep her positive and keep her focused on the good that she'd be doing. And that's it.